Today we visit with Vivian Carwile, a Missouri State Fair Top 50 artist and spokesperson today for the Jefferson City Art Club. I'm Rick Jey, your host, and this is Mid-Missouri Art News. Welcome to Mid-Missouri Art News here at JCTV Studios in Jefferson City, Missouri. We entertain many people around the world now, thanks to YouTube. So I want to welcome everyone. I'm Rick Jey, your host. And as I said a few moments ago, we are visiting at the table with Vivian Carwile. So please join me in welcoming Vivian Carwile to Mid-Missouri Art News. It's great having you here today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the invitation.
Well, we've been looking forward to this for a while, and you don't seem to be shaking as much as the first time we talked about it. But we want to share your art story with the world now, thanks to YouTube and JCTV here at Jefferson City Lincoln University. So, well, let me go ahead and ask you if I can call you Vivian by your
Certainly.
first name. Thank you. We'd like to find out a little bit about Vivian Carwile. Take us back a few years and share a little bit with the viewers.
Well, I was born right here in Jefferson City. I've lived my entire life pretty much in Loose Creek, Missouri.
Oh, yes.
That's where we have our home. I was married to my high school sweetheart, Larry, and we just celebrated our 50th anniversary last August. We have 4 children and 7 beautiful grandchildren.
Would you like to say hi to those, or is that too long of a list?
Well, I hope I can remember all their names. Let's see. It's
sometimes
Grace.
we leave out one.
Yes, Grace and Faith and Madeline, Amelia, Joe, and Allison, and Eva.
Oh, very good.
7 girls, and 6 girls and 1 boy.
Excellent, excellent. Well, you did really very well. And your education? You went to school here in the Jefferson City area, or
yes,
Loose Creek, Missouri?
I graduated from Fatima High School. I went on to Lincoln University, and I started out with a regular art degree, and afterwards, I moved into the education part of it. So I received my Bachelor of Science, Art Education from Lincoln right here.
Excellent.
I've been a teacher I taught for 15 years. The first 9, I was a traveling art teacher for the parochial school system, the Catholic school system. And I would travel to the towns of Taos and Westphalia and Frankenstein each week, teaching students.
Oh, I see.
After that, I became the art teacher, elementary art teacher for St. Joseph Cathedral here in Jefferson City. And that's where I retired from. But I just really enjoyed my career, and it was just so rewarding being able to watch children grow and enjoy the arts. I just feel that's so important.
Their art is so amazing, too. Now, you probably in that same era of time, was Ruth Hogan, was you ever acquainted with Ruth Hogan?
Yes, right now I am the chairman of or co-chairman of the Ruth Hogan Art Show, and really enjoyed that, and it's a nice way of getting back into seeing the wonderful art that's created by the children from around
throughout
here.
the area here,
Yes,
Missouri, Jefferson City area. So that's great. I know I love to help on that show, on the hanging and being part of that. So it's very, very nice that we can continue on with the Ruth Hogan, shall we say, thoughts and dedication that she showed, and those people worked with her and still working for her, shall we say. Well, if you can, Vivian, if you can remember back to when you really was first inspired to become an artist, or even was interested in arts.
Okay, well, do you want me to go way, way
Yes,
back?
you do. I drew on the bedroom walls, I tell these years. And so that's, I guess I started there.
Well, gosh, I've loved visual arts and drawing and painting and cutting with the scissors just as long as I can remember. So it was probably even my preschool years that I remember there was a show, and this will probably really date me, but the gentleman or the artist was John Nagy. Do you remember
Yes,
him?
I know that name.
Yes, but he used to have these little 15-minute shows in early TV
Yes.
where he would come on and he would start out with a blank sheet of paper, and you could draw along with him.
Yes.
And so I was absolutely fascinated, and so I thought, okay, I can do that too. So he'd draw these sweet little landscapes or still lifes, and it would, line by line, step by step, and I'd follow along. And I think that's where I really got maybe my first taste of actual being impressed with, hey, I can do this, because I would get wows from my parents and people that saw what I drew. But another big inspiration at that time, it was the 50s or early 60s maybe, and my mother had gotten a paint by numbers set for Christmas, and I was too little to I just wanted to try that. And I couldn't, though, because that was a little bit too delicate for a child that young, early first, second grade maybe. And so I would watch her, and so that was another inspiration. I was just so impressed with how you could create a work of art just by following the numbers that way. And I had a couple of older cousins that were, a number of years ahead of me in school, and they were taking one was taking her high school art classes. And when I would go to their house, I would just ooh and ah over. I couldn't wait to go and see what she had painted, and I was so impressed with that. My other cousin was very creative as well.
And their names? You want to give their names?
Well, Betty Fowle was my cousin that I just was so impressed with her high school artwork. And like Catherine Minks, another cousin of mine, always had such interesting art projects going on, and she even got into ceramics, which I was very impressed with, and had a ceramic studio in her home too. It wasn't just one form of art, but I was just fascinated by it all.
Same
just
here.
the idea of creativity.
And what new can I can see or learn? What's the next page, in other words, that you could turn to in the life experience? Now, John Nagy, that reminds me, speaking of my younger sister, Nancy Joy Johnson, and I would take and have her draw as many lines or shapes that she could. Was like, I was probably about 12, she was probably about 9, 10. And so she would draw these lines or shapes, and I would draw a picture from that. So that was where I picked up from John Nagy. And so she's also, when you mentioned it, she is a fantastic paint by numbers artist, but that's about as far as I can encourage her to go with. I've been trying to get her into painting with oils. So a little shout out to Sister Nancy and another sister, Barbara. She's very talented at many things, and also a brother. So we're all, seems like it runs in the family. Mom was also very artistic in many ways, trying different things. So I can touch the base there and also identify with you, as many of our viewers will locally and worldwide. Now we're going to talk about more specifics in your art because it's awesome, and we'll talk more specifics in the second part. But I'd like to ask you, you mentioned Jefferson City Art Club. You're a spokesperson for them today. So what's happening with the Jefferson City Art Club?
Well, it's just a wonderful organization, and right now they're preparing as we speak for the 2020 Jefferson City Art Club Adult Art Exhibit. And they're going to be showing from June 26th, starting at 12 noon, and that goes till 5. And it goes until July 31st. And during that time, on July 10th, there's going to be a reception and also a book signing by Fred Schollmeyer and Janice Burgeon from 4 to 8 during that reception. So that's going to be exciting too. They're two very tremendous artists from here in Central Missouri, and they've both written just extremely wonderful books. So I think they're quite an addition to the art club.
All right. And I'm going to be field taping the show this coming Saturday and have it run as a special, if we may, here at the JCTV. So those that not yet feeling comfortable getting out and visiting with this pandemic, that you'll be able to view that right here at JCTV. So look for that, set your YouTubes on notification, and then you'll get it firsthand. So, well, thank you very much, Vivian, for that information. We look forward to that. And becoming a member is really easy by going to their website. That's www.jeffersoncityartclub-Missouri spelled out. So you can find the sheet there to fill out an application. So we must take a break.
Okay.
And so we'll be right back. When we come back, we'll, like I said, we'll get into more detail and a look at some of the marvelous works and a little bit of education, her favorite mediums, etc. So stay with us. We'll be right back. There's a lot more right here at Mid-Missouri Art News. Great.
Places, everybody.
Light check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Everything looks good on our end.
And lights.
Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Welcome back to JCTV, Mid-Missouri Art News. We continue our conversation here at the round table with Vivian Carwile, a State of Missouri Fair 2019 Top 50 Artist and Jefferson City Art Club spokesman. Now we're going to talk with Vivian and find out more about how she comes up with these awesome pieces of work. So welcome back, everyone, and Vivian to the show. I'd like to start out, Vivian, please share with the viewer the process that you might go through to complete a project. Where does it begin? Pictures, photos, drawings, undercoats, and what matter, not subject matter yet, but what mediums do you like to use?
Mm-hmm. Well, watercolor is by far my most enjoyable medium. It's a frustrating medium, but yet it's such a fun and exciting medium because it sometimes has a mind of its own and it takes you to places you may not have even realized could happen just, you know, with spontaneity. And it can also be very detailed as well. So you've got a wide range of you know, going from something very simple and fast to something that becomes more detailed. And as a lot of artists, I do sometimes have problems with overworking my paintings. So I sometimes just have to step away and say, okay, I like it, it's finished. So that's one of the fun ideas or ways of painting I see, yes.
We had a guest last week that we interviewed from St. Louis, and she paints in watercolor. And she basically, her best way of describing watercolors was that you're not in control, they are. So, but you can, I guess, get down to detail. Now we have a painting behind you where you received honorable mention at the Jefferson City Art Club exhibit in 2019. Now what's the name of this? It looks like a nice canna leaf.
Yes, this is one of my backyard cannas. I really enjoy gardening and you know, the flower aspect of it. But I watched my cannas grow, you know, from just popping out of the ground to growing into these beautiful tropical plants that they are. And I realized, you know, all the lines and the different shapes of a canna. And I looked at it even from looking off of my deck straight into the heart of the canna, and that's how this one came about. I just saw the line work and the various colors, and I actually, in painting it, I indulged in creativity by giving it a lot more color than it actually has. But, you know, that's what you can do when you're the painter.
When you're the artist.
But no, I've done a number of works just in my own backyard, working from flower photographs and just painting on site. Another, nature in itself, I mean, I absolutely love nature. Landscapes is another favorite. Water right now has become something that I'm excited about, and I guess like Monet, seeing something different in every morning or every afternoon, and how the sun hits it, and how the
shadows change.
Exactly. It just, it's a fascinating subject. And so I spend a lot of time just watching water and seeing what actually is beneath the surface. And you can be so impressed with the movement of water too, trying to capture that.
Exactly.
So
now the paintings at the table, these are your smoke series of
yes, they are. And this is something that I just happened across last fall. It was in September. We took a trip out to Colorado with my son, with my brother and sister-in-law, and we were in Georgetown visiting the little shops and the art galleries. And there was a lady that was working in the art gallery, and I got to visit with her, and she was also a watercolor artist. And so she said, let me show you my smoke paintings. You'd be interested in this. And so I said, okay. And I was fascinated right away, and then she went right into explaining how she had taken a workshop and she had learned how to paint with watercolor, just kind of do a watercolor wash over parts of your paper, and then you would light a candle and use the smoke and the soot of the candle to create the dark areas. Once you applied the soot, you could go in with a very fine, sharp instrument, you know, even a toothpick or a little gouge, and create lines in it. Or you could squirt a little bit of water on it and create interesting little parts of it.
And I guess you're ready to give these lessons out at some point.
Well, as soon as I figure out how to keep from catching the paper,
The
on
paper
fire.
on fire, that would be a,
It's
hazard,
just,
wouldn't it?
but no, I've had, you know, I make sure I keep my water source very close. But no, it's really a fun and spontaneous way of doing a watercolor. And each one, I mean, you have no idea what you're creating until you get in there and apply the soot and then add your little bit of paint to your trees and the little, maybe a splash of white. I've done a few with a deer in it. So there are just lots of ways to go with this particular
We're
type
going to
of painting.
show a lot of your works on the timeline here as we're visiting and you're talking about it. But you know, first I want to ask you when your next exhibit is, but I would like to talk about some of your favorites, especially starting off with you became juried into the Missouri State Top 50 alongside myself and another member, Gail Levian, Jimmy, I can't think of his last name, but 5 of us was juried in the state fair from the Jefferson City Art Club this last year. So tell us about your painting, the name of it, and how it came about, the medium and the matter, shall we say.
Okay. Well, the painting I had displayed at the state fair was called Dusk on the Dock. And my inspiration came from spending quite a few hours on a boat dock or in a slip down at the Lake of the Ozarks. My husband is an avid fisherman, and I've tried fishing, and I do a little bit, but I mostly like gawking around at the outdoors and at the water and watching the waves kind of roll in from the boats.
Right.
And so that's where it was just like I take my camera along down there, and I'm fascinated by the various colors of the water on various days,
Sure.
and how the shadows kind of bounce around and reflect. And that's what I tried to portray in Dusk on the Dock, was that dark, deep blue color moving in as the sun was setting.
Yes.
And then watching the ripples and how the sun kind of bounced off of the very bright edges. And so I just tried to wrap that all up in one painting. And it's led me to try the technique on several more since then.
Now, my thoughts go to Billy O'Donnell real fast, which is a plein air painting known worldwide. Have you done any plein air like on the docks there? Did that start as a plein air painting while your husband fished, or or did you take a photo?
I did take a photo.
Oh, I see.
I like to work off of my own photos, and from them I can sometimes explore even more than I see right at the at the time I'm on the dock.
More than you can see sometimes from
plus,
a photo. Yes.
Working on a dock for me, with the movement of the dock, I think would be a little bit problematic, possibly. So I've never given it a try.
It might be hard to set the saddle, I guess.
Yes.
Right. Well, so that's great. It's an awesome painting. I'm so happy for you, and congratulations on the top
Thank
50.
you.
Hopefully, we'll be juried in again this year. It's quite an honor to be chosen. And I want to keep that invitation open for my own show that's at the Department of Natural Resources, the Runge Conservation Nature Center, which was canceled for the year 2020, but the invitation's open. It's rescheduled for May and June of 2021 now. So we're looking forward to having one of your pieces of art there also. Do you have any shows coming up that they can attend and see firsthand?
Well, right now, I do have 3 pieces in the Jefferson City Adult Art Exhibit, and one of them is the Dusk on the Dock. I also have another one that is similar to that, but yet very different, and it's called Chocolate Caramel Dreaming, because it offers more of the brown and beige and the chocolatey colors that go along
Ooh,
with
that
it.
sounds
Here again, the ripples
tasty.
in the water.
In the water, I see.
I observe and see something so deep that most people
Now-
don't automatically notice when
Right.
they're looking at water.
What's the location of this venue for those that are unaware?
Oh, the Adult Art Exhibit this year is being held at Capitol Arts here in Jefferson City. It's located on Missouri Boulevard, and it's just a very beautiful gallery.
It is a tremendous gallery, yes. Excellent. Now, I understand that you don't do any commission work, but would you like to offer an email address where people have questions from you, or for you, should I say? Would you like to share that with our viewers?
Well, sure. I can be reached at vcarwile2@gmail.com.
Excellent. Now, those can come from any part of the world. You know, I was invited and hope to attend a 10-day residency, a lady seeing the show and giving out the email in Tuscany, Italy. So you could get an email from anywhere. So you might look at not your trash, but there might be something in the
Spam?
Spam, yes. So you might have something in spam from who knows worldwide. Well, let's see. We're just about out of time. I was looking at the clock, Vivian. So on behalf of the JCTV Access, I want to thank you very much for contributing to Mid-Missouri Art News. It's really been a learning and educational, informational experience for all and for myself. I'm so happy that you could share your awesome artwork with us. Do you have any closing comments you'd like to share with our viewers worldwide, and or for new artists or an artist maybe that's somewhat come into a lull in their, maybe you could inspire someone here with your intellect and from the heart.
Well, there's no better time than today to just get those paintbrushes and paints out, and even if you've got a few minutes or you've got an entire afternoon, I mean, give it a try. It's just so rewarding. No matter how you feel on that day, you're going to feel better after you've spent a little time just reflecting on something beautiful. And I just encourage everybody, even if you don't think you have talent, there is some kind of talent there waiting to be found. So,
from an art teacher, you've seen that happen.
Oh, most
Someone
definitely.
says, I can't draw a stick figure, but an art teacher will bring that out of them. So if you have any inspiration at all, you know, take Vivian's advice. So I thank you one more time for being here and having the courage to come to the round table.
well, thank you for having me.
Yes,
I've
ma'am.
enjoyed it.
Oh, great, great. Well, thanks. I have to always thank our producer and crew here at JCTV, producer Glory and Lowe, and Art Gerhardt, and their students as they become involved and classes begin assisting. And naturally, I want to thank you viewers for watching worldwide and locally. So look for more Mid-Missouri Art News right here at JCTV Access. And don't forget YouTube. I'm Rick Jey saying thank you once again. See you next time.